Hello and welcome to the Everyday Adventure podcast. My name is Nikki Bass and I will be bringing you thoughts, ideas and stories from some incredible guests to hopefully inspire you to live more adventurously in your everyday lives. So today I am super excited to welcome Yvette Curtis to the show. Yvette is the founder of Wave Wahines, which is a surf and fitness club which is based in Croydon, North Devon, and which aims to provide affordable and accessible surf training for women and girls. And she has also recently launched a diversity in surfing program and is currently supporting 7 Syrian girls, introducing them to the water, to surfing, and some of them for the very first time. So I am a huge fan of the work that Yvette has been doing with Wave Wahines and also what she's doing currently around diversity. I guess I first came across her when I was just launching my resilience and adventure weekends, and there were so many parallels in what she was doing and helping to build confidence in women and girls taking to the water. So I was absolutely thrilled when she agreed to come on the podcast. And I'm also, as for those of you who are regular listeners to the show will know as well, that diversity in action sports in particular, because they're sports that I enjoy so much, is something that is a real passion of mine and something that I feel we need to do so much more about. And so it's truly amazing to see the groundbreaking work that Yvette has been doing in this space. And, you know, I can't wait to see where it goes and I can't wait to chat to her about it. So Yvette, thank you so much for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Wow, what an introduction. Oh my goodness. It's quite overwhelming and very flattering. Thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to come and talk to you. Wow, that was an incredible introduction. Even I was sat there going, who's this? This girl sounds pretty amazing. I'm like, hang on. Oh wow, that's me. That's pretty rad. Thank you.
Brilliant. My first question really is what inspired you, I guess, first to get started with Wave Wahines? Where did the idea come from?
A really simple answer to that. It's my eldest daughter. She's just turned 18 yesterday.
Oh, wow.
And when she was 12, maybe 13, kind of that typical age where, you know, we know girls fall out of sport and particularly in the school atmosphere. And she was definitely one of those girls. And obviously my career as a personal trainer, to me, you know, fitness and sport and everything has been part of my life forever, for as far back as I can remember. And she did approach me and said, I'd like to go surfing a bit more. And I'll be honest, massive disclaimer here. I am a terrible surfer. At the time of Wave Wahines starting, I was actually petrified of the sea.
That's even more amazing.
So all in all, I was like the least likely person to help. So I said to her, well, we'll look around. We looked at the surf clubs locally and other options, and obviously surf coaching on a one-to-one basis and even in a group setting is super expensive. So, you know, at the time I was a single parent and I couldn't possibly afford that. So I just thought, well, I run a business that's fairly successful. I really see the value in sport. I'm really motivated to keep girls in sport. And I spoke to a couple of female coaches who coach for Surf Southwest. And Karma used to sort of surf for Team GB sort of years ago, and broached the idea with them and with my partner. And he said, actually, that's a really good idea. So we spoke to the surf school, we spoke to the girls, and they loved it. And suddenly Wave Wahines was born, literally just because my daughter wanted to surf, because I can't be the only parent in North Devon who still doesn't surf, I hasten to add. I'm not scared of the sea anymore. I respect it, but I'm not scared. So but I've got to be amongst a few other parents, because now last night we had 30 girls surfing with us. Wow. And we obviously now we do an over 30s club and an over 18s club. So regularly we'll be getting over 60 or 70 women and girls in the water, and it's all thanks to my gorgeous firstborn.
Gosh, that is incredible. And I mean, how many did you start off with then when you first set it up? How's it sort of grown, I guess?
We would regularly have between 8 and 12 girls per session, and that was quite good. We did a winter program that first year, which we have done every year since, apart from the one just gone, where we would do sort of roller booting, skateboarding, jewelry making, all sorts of things like that. And we actually had sort of more girls take it up over the winter to come and do those indoor activities with us as well, which was quite interesting. But yeah, surf wise, we would go from that first year of being 8 to 12 girls most weeks. Second year, we'd get up to about 20. And now, I think last summer we had sessions where we had 40 girls with us. And it's just, it never stops overwhelming me every week, never stops, regardless of what's going on. I'm just always have to take a minute and look at the kids out there and just go, this is amazing. Look, this is so great.
That's just incredible. I guess I wonder the fact that it has proved so popular, and like you said, that the sea has been there and it's on the doorstep, but it's grown so much, and women and girls have sort of come to the sport. I mean, what do you see as some of the challenges, I guess, that face, particularly, I suppose, women or, teenage girls when they're looking to get started in surfing? Why do you think that, having this sort of safe space is so important?
I think it's a confidence sort of thing. And, as I'm not going to generalize and say all women and all girls, but yeah, certainly the women and the girls that, we have at Wahines, it's been something they wouldn't have done on their own. Media and, historically surfing is quite a male-dominated sport. So that in itself creates a barrier because, no one wants to feel that people are looking at them or that people are a bit different. You kind of go, oh gosh, is it for me? But no, it's mostly men, so maybe it's not for me. So I think creating somewhere that was specifically just for girls, and, part of our ethos is it's just fun as well. It wasn't ever about, we want you to be the best surfer, we want you to be out back in a week and all that. It was literally just come and have fun, come and play in the water with us, see what we're about, make new friends. And it was a really lovely thing. And I do think that those barriers are around community and are around self-confidence and are around, particularly with teenage girls, you're putting them in a position where they're wearing a wetsuit or they're getting in and out of swimming costumes. Some of them are starting to go through puberty. All of those things create an extra element and an extra barrier for them. And, certainly my peers, when we did the over 30s, I was the same. I've had 3 children. I've not gotten back to my sort of baby body. And the last thing I wanted to do is to be, squeezing myself into a wetsuit. And I think if I was on my own, I'm very aware. But suddenly I was in a group of, I think we had 20 women who pretty much were all really just like me. Most of us have had, multiple children, or we've had, health issues, or whether that's mental health or physical issues. So many life stories have come out over the time surfing with them that I really think it is just creating community. Community is everything. And that is really smashing the barriers that are getting these women and girls into surfing.
Yeah, no, that
was a really long answer, wasn't it?
No, it was that was absolutely perfect. There's so much. I was like, gosh, I want to pick up on so many different points in there as well. I think your point about that sort of the body confidence and body consciousness is such an important one as well, because it's really interesting. I know when people have come on my weekends and not used to wearing the wetsuit, and it's something I guess I think less about just because I've always put on a wetsuit and not really, by the time you're in the water, you're sort of, worried about freezing and being smashed and the wetsuit thing goes. But I think one of the things that really struck me was quite a big issue for some people, that, that feeling, I guess, feeling exposed, feeling unsure. And also, like you said, it's not often that we walk around and in those sort of, they're not flattering on anybody, to be honest. But that sort of feeling of, I'm not really sure what to do with this, or being in this space. And something like you said about it being all women, and my weekends are all women as well, creates that safety when you're feeling, well, you're not judged. It's not about that. It's a means to getting somewhere.
Not the one who's kind of going on their own, and which obviously, there are women that quite happily do that. And also, I applaud them, because I get super nervous even now. But when you put women in a group with others, it's kind of, you look around and you go, actually, I'm not the only one, I'm with a really safe space of women who've been through the same thing, or who know the same thing, who know what I'm going through, and you don't judge each other, because you realize actually no one's going to be looking at any particular one, because there's 20 of us. So, you have that safety in numbers.
No, that's really important too. And I guess, for you personally, because I guess there's the benefits for those who come on your programs and your courses, and, and who turn up and get that confidence and that belief that this is something they can do. And for you in running that, what have been the sort of the unexpected benefits that you've come across, that you set out to do one thing, but something else has happened? You've gone, yeah, that's just incredible.
I think, obviously my relationship with the ocean has changed dramatically. I think the first time I went for a sort of open water swim was to challenge myself, because I was so scared of being in the sea. And I remember sort of, having panic attacks and being terrified to get in. So to go from that, which was maybe 6 years ago, to now constantly having to be in the sea, all the time. We'll go out for walks and I'll be like, oh, it looks really nice and calm today, let's just jump in. And and I never thought I'd be that person. And sometimes with our girls group on flat days, we go out for paddles and stuff, and we've gone quite far out, and I've suddenly found myself, actually I'm having to swim out to where they are, and realizing that actually I'm okay to do that. And they're so great, because I've been really honest with how I've been scared of the sea, and they're all just so supportive. Even like the little ones are just like, wow, you're doing great, and if you need to hold on to my board, you can, if you need to break. And it's just kind of showing them that actually I'm not infallible either. I've got my fears and my things that I've overcome. So I think the biggest thing, in answer to your question, is it's made me really love the sea and really value it, and that has been an incredible thing.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. And I think, first of all, just how fantastic to start something off when you have that fear there and find a way through it. I think it's modeling something so important, I guess, for those people who are coming to Wave Wahines to build their confidence as well, that you're able to show that vulnerability and go, actually, this is terrifying for me in a different way, but so I think that's so important. I wanted to just talk, because I introduced at the beginning talking around the work you're doing around diversity and increasing the breadth of diversity in terms of surfing and the women you're bringing into your programs. And I know you recently received a grant to take this further and have started a diversity in surf program. And I just wanted to sort of ask you a bit about the background and the idea and the inspiration behind that. Why is this something that you feel so passionate about and you're taking the step forward?
Oh my gosh, huge question. And
sorry, I know, and it's only 25 minutes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so why I'm doing it is I'm a woman of colour. Obviously people listening won't know that, but I am. So I noticed, in the sea around me and in our club for sure, we'll have groups of 40 girls, and of those girls we'll only have 3 that sort of won't identify as white, and that's just insane. I just think, what is it that isn't attracting a more diverse community into surfing? And you can, you see it in the media, you can see a lot of that. It's really presented as quite sort of a white and a white male dominated sport. That is changing, slowly but surely, but it's definitely changing. The gender split is obviously definitely improving, but the diversity is definitely an issue. I think you've got companies in the States that are working and have been working in that space for quite some time. People like Black Girl Surf, so you've got Rhonda there, and Textured Waves. So you've got organizations in the US that are actually focusing on improving that relationship, but there wasn't really anything in the UK. And I'd spoken to people about it, and we'd applied for funding. And then I think at the time I was doing a news piece on that particular subject, in sort of in the wake of the death of George Floyd, because obviously that just impacted so heavily on the world, on humanity, on life, and certainly on me as a woman of colour. I found it really hard to digest some of the things that I was reading online, and I found that really challenging. So it pushed me slightly more. And then a news piece came out about the programme that I was hoping to run. And unfortunately, I was then on the receiving end of some quite unpleasant racist trolling online. So the sort of news editors, mediators stepped in and did everything that they should do, which was great. So it sort of took me by surprise, but then it made me sit back and go, okay, you can either go, right, I'm not going to do this because it's going to put myself in a position where I'm going to potentially be abused, or you can just say, do you know what, I've got a voice and I'm going to use it. And I chose the latter. And then no more than 2 weeks after I think that aired, we then got funding through from Sport England to say we've been successful via Active Devon in their Tackling Inequalities Fund. So I was like, brilliant, we can now run this diversity in surf course. That's fantastic. And what really shocked me was I'd spoken to Susanna Baker, who is a founder of the Pickwell Foundation and also a community sponsor for a Syrian family who moved maybe 4 or 5 years ago, can't quite remember. So I've discussed it with her before, the potential for doing some kind of work with her. And then separately, another community sponsor for another family in the local area had spoken to me on exactly the same thing. And I sort of went away and I thought, well, hang on, if that doesn't qualify as a diverse ethnic community for this particular funding, I'm not sure what does. So I went back to both parties and said, look, here, we've got this money, we can run this course. Would any of the other local Syrian families be interested in their daughters doing it? We're very aware of sort of the cultural differences, and we've ensured that it's going to be all female coaches, all female volunteers. We were speaking with Finisterre, who, I don't know if you've seen, but they made a C-suit again, which is for sort of women who may want to have something that's more loose fitting over a wetsuit, so it doesn't draw attention. And then also it has an inbuilt sort of hood. So rather than having that neoprene hood, you've got just like a hijab. So we were speaking to Finisterre about that in the long term, if we continue to get funding for this. And lo and behold, 7 girls wanted to join up. And yeah, here's the teary bit, as we had our first session on Saturday just gone. Super flat waves, super sunny day, really warm, high tide. It was the dream first session ever. And we found out on the day that 2 of the girls, 2 sisters, have only been in the country for sort of the past 8 weeks and had never been in the ocean before. So before we even started, I think we all felt an overwhelming sense of, oh my God, please don't cry, please don't cry, please don't cry, get through the session. And it was so I think we were all really emotional at what was going to happen. I don't think any of us realised quite the impact it was going to have, but not on only the girls, but on ourselves as coaches, as humans. And it was massive, watching these girls, especially the 2 that hadn't been in the sea, having those moments of fear to kind of walk in. We didn't go in with the boards to begin with, we were holding hands with them and just kind of walking them into the ocean. And it was just amazing, really was amazing. I get really emotional and start to get a bit choked up when I think about it. But we've got pictures of one of the girls in particular who was one of the first ocean experiences. And she was with me, and it was started sort of holding no hands and just kind of next to each other, just going, are you okay? Are you okay? Then held one hand, then held 2 hands, then sort of stood ankle deep, and she was terrified. And I just kept, I remember the amount of times I must have said, I've got you. It's okay. I've got you. And I know obviously her English, she wouldn't have actually understand the terminology of what I'm saying, but I guess my body language and my eye contact with her just is that reassuring of, I've got you. This is okay. You're safe with me. I'm not going to let anything happen. And then I've got another picture of her holding both my hands, jumping over a wave joyously. And then she was the last person to get out of the water, didn't want to leave. And I've got the biggest photo of her smiling and splashing water into the air. And it just, I'm never going to forget that first session. I mean, I'm sure all the sessions that we have going forwards are going to be equally rewarding and equally amazing. But that was going to stay with me for life, for absolutely sure. And I think everyone who was there that day, I think we all feel just a sense of, we've got this moment in time that no one can repeat and no one can take away.
Gosh, I mean, I'm almost speechless and very emotional after that. So I can only imagine what it was like to experience in person. I mean, what I keep just thinking is, what a gift to give to those girls and for that little girl to sort of experience and, and like you said, despite the language barrier that, and just relating what you were saying earlier about your own journey that you've been on and being able to, so at some level connect with her in that wave. And like you said, when the language barrier is present, I just think that's incredible. And, it's so important because like you said, it's that shock when you try to do something that you can't imagine why there would be any counter argument or counter narrative to this. This is about, widening the experience for everybody to feel that this is something that belongs to them, that is part of their experience and help to create that safety in a way that people can share in that. And when you get that pushback, that must have been incredibly painful. So, what you've done with that and take it forward and, like I said, give this gift to these girls coming through is just phenomenal. And I was just wondering, so you've started this now, this incredible this incredible program. I mean, where would you like it to go? I mean, what's next? What are the next steps?
Oh wow. Well, obviously we're going to run out the 6 weeks that we have funding for. If the girls would like to join part of our regular sessions, again, we would really love that. That would be the sort of the end goal, is that they join our normal club sessions and then they're meeting their peers that are going to be at school with them and everything like that. So that's that sense of community and that sense of integration into community, which is so important. So I never wanted it to be this is going to be just for this particular group of marginalized people, and that's it, they're going to stay separate. That the whole point was to, okay, let's build confidence, let's build relationships, let's build some of those bridges and take away those barriers and those fears, and then let's integrate everyone into our same group, and so we're all together. But obviously 6 weeks is enough to hopefully engage the girls so that they enjoy what we do and enjoy being part of it. Given that it has been their first experiences of the sea, and many of them their first experiences of surfing, 6 weeks may not be long enough. So we are looking at gaining funding to run another course in September to hopefully give them more confidence in the sea, and then that transition may be a little bit easier into our normal groups, which will be really lovely, I think, to have them. And some of them are a bit too young for our normal group. So we are running a teeny Wahine session over the summer, which hopefully the younger ones will then participate in. So yeah, the idea is that we will be able to keep running surfing and they will join part of our normal club. I've been contacted by Surf Yonder, who are a surf company, again, run by a lovely lady called Sally, who works super closely with her community to get more women and girls into the sea. And she's doing great things up there. But she reached out to me and wants to work with a refugee sort of work up there as well. So we're trying to connect and do something similar in the Northeast. So that's really exciting. I think it's just really exciting that people want to work and do this. People want to keep this ball rolling. And that's going to be really nice. So if anyone is listening and if anyone does want to set up a similar program, please reach out to us, because we'll be able to supply you with the impact of our 6 weeks. We'll be doing obviously an impact report to see what barriers we've had, any things that we would do differently, the impact it's had at the end. So all of those things will help with any further funding applications. So if anyone does want to offer a similar program in their area, then just let us know, and we'll do whatever we can to help.
Oh, that's brilliant. And that's a really generous offer as well. And obviously, I'll pop all of your links and everything in the show notes afterwards. So if people want to reach out and get in touch with you about it, then, they can find you really easily. And yeah, I love the point you make about actually that surfing in a way is a vehicle for that integration as well, that surfing is magical and wonderful in itself, but also, what's so brilliant about it is that it's such a level playing field once you're out in that water. And, like I said, it's not about necessarily communicating in one language or another, or, it's, I think at a human connection level, I think it's such a wonderful vehicle for that. So yeah, I mean, I can just see this having such a wonderful impact in what you're trying to do. So, absolutely wish you all the very best with that. A question I always ask my guests is, and I think particularly interesting, given all the experiences you've had now with working with women and girls in the space as well, is if somebody's listening to this and they're thinking, I really want to start an adventure of my own. And that adventure might be physical, it might be surfing or something like that. It might be as in, I want to make a change. I want to make a difference. I want to start something. What's the one piece of advice you'd give them?
Don't give up. Yeah, definitely don't give up. If you're sure of your idea and you have passion and you believe in it, then just keep going. Because I know when we started Wahines, it took a while from the concept. It took about 7 months to actually start. And that was because we'd had a little bit of pushback. We've had a little bit of sort of queries on funding as to why it needs to be gender specific. Again, I'm fortunate enough that I've got a lot of academic friends who sort of sent me all the reports that I need to say, this is why we need like a gendered space, because it is important. So yeah, then that was a lot of pushback. I could have stopped then, but I was 100% sure what I was doing was the right thing to do, and it was needed. And otherwise I would have had to try to teach Aaliyah to surf, and nobody wanted to see that. So I needed to have a proper plan for her. So yeah, it was actually just to save my own skin, really. But no, all joking aside, if you've got a plan, you're passionate, it's right, then don't take no for an answer. Just keep pushing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Yvette. I mean, that, I could talk for hours about this. I think, like I said, what you're doing is so important. If people want to find out more about you, about the program, where can they go?
We have a website, so that's www.wavewahines.co.uk. Or you can generally find us on Instagram, is probably our best place. That's at wave_Wahines. We also have Facebook and Twitter, so I'm sure all the handles will be in your show notes. But yeah, just look us up there and drop us a line and connect.
Brilliant. Thank you so much again. It's been wonderful. I absolutely wish you all the very best of luck. I have no doubt that this will, that you're making such a difference with what you're doing, and that it will continue to grow. So thank you. Yeah, and it was so lovely to speak to you. So thank you for agreeing to join me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for listening as well. Bye.
Brilliant. Bye. So I really hope you enjoyed that episode with Yvette. So many important points she raised. This week, I would like to pick up on the point around psychological safety, because I think it's something I come across a huge amount in my work. It's really important to me being able to do the work that I do. But also I've seen it be so important, both from a personal perspective, but also when working with others, when teaching with others in outdoor spaces as well. And I think it applies so much to adventure, and whether we feel that it is something that we are capable of, that we have the permission to do, even that we belong in a particular space. I think what's so important about the work that Yvette is doing is really what she's doing is creating psychologically safe spaces where people who wouldn't normally get the chance or be attracted to try out surfing, whether it's because of the, physical fear of the water, like she mentioned, or because of the, the perceptions around it, because of the images that are portrayed in the media, or just because of access, but purely because actually it's, unless you live next to the coast, it can be a really difficult sport to try. And I think that extends across so many adventure and outdoor sports as well, that it's, what's your way in? But part of that way in is feeling that you are included in that space, that there is a place for you within it, and that whether you're, a beginner falling off the board into the white water, or whether, you've done it for years and like me, still feel relatively incompetent, that actually what a difference it makes when you are not feeling intimidated, when you are not feeling exposed, when you don't feel judged, that actually your access, your ability to do that activity and that adventure in general is increased so much. So I've seen quite a few comments over social media over the last year about, the outdoors is for everyone and the outdoors is free and you just have to get out there. But that ignores the psychology, that in the end we live in our minds so much of the time. It's not just about physically getting outside. It's not just about physically trying something or deciding, hey, I'm going to do this tomorrow, whether that be a physical or psychological adventure, that actually we have to feel that there is a space for us to do that sometimes. And whilst we can break the mold, for the majority of people, it's about going, okay, am I included here? Am I welcomed here? I'd just like to leave you with that thought this week. As always, please do reach out to me. Let me know how you found the episode, how you find the podcast. You can find me on Instagram, Resilience at Work. You can get in touch via my website, resiliencework.co.uk, or you can find me on Facebook in the Everyday Adventure Club. Otherwise, I will be back next week with another incredible everyday adventure for you, and I look forward to seeing you then. Take care. Bye.